Brighton. London's horror spate of terror attacks could have been much worse, London Mayor Sadiq Khan has said, revealing that police have foiled 7 terror attacks in the British capital since March. He said the 7 plots were in addition to the attacks at Westminster, Borough Market, Finsbury Park and Parsons Green that killed a total of 13 people, including 2 Australian women, Sarah Zelinek and Kirsty Bowden. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has renewed his call for more police resources in the British capital. Photo Latika Burke. Between March this year and now, there have been 4 attacks but 7 more have been thwarted, he said at a fringe event on the sidelines of the Labour Party conference in Brighton. In July, the Commissioner of Metropolitan Police said authorities had foiled 6 plots in the 4 previous months. In March, 5 people were killed when Khalid Masood drove a rented vehicle into tourists on Westminster Bridge. In May, 22 people were killed when Salman Abedi detonated a homemade bomb as an Ariana Grande concert finished in Manchester. In June, 6 people, including Ms. Zelinek and Ms. Bowden, were killed at Borough Market and on London Bridge when jihadists drove a van into pedestrians and then carried out a frenzied stabbing attack in the markets. Also in June, 1 man died when a vehicle was driven into Muslims at a mosque in Finsbury Park. 2 weeks ago, a homemade bomb failed to detonate properly when it caught fire on a London Underground train at Parsons Green Station. Mr. Khan said the increased terror attacks in Britain this year are the result of a shift in terrorist tactics, rather than a spike in the number of attacks themselves. The Labour mayor continued his pressure on the Tory government, calling for more police resources. But he also backed Prime Minister Theresa May's call for the internet companies to do more to combat extremist content online. Mr. Khan also used his conference appearance to say it would be wrong for Britain to host President Donald Trump on a state visit, describing some of the US leader's views on Islam as ignorant. During the US presidential election campaign, Mr. Khan was among many people who spoke out against Mr. Trump's proposed ban on Muslims entering the United States, an idea he said would play into the hands of extremists. Mr. Trump has since criticized Mr. Khan, accusing him of making a pathetic excuse for terrorism in his statement, urging Londoners not to be alarmed by the presence of additional police on the streets following the London Borough attack in June. Mr. Khan told an audience at the conference that he thought hosting Mr. Trump for a state visit, which Mrs. May has said is still planned, was wrong. "I sometimes think people are ignorant," he said, adding that it was his job to educate them. Khan poses with Corbyn amid row over conference appearance. Earlier, Mr. Khan posed with Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn after a hard-left attempt to block the mayor from speaking at conference failed. Mr. Khan criticised Mr. Corbyn when he addressed the conference in 2016 and backed Owen Smith in the 2016 leadership challenge. He is the Labour Party's most senior figure in office, but was facing moves by the leadership to have speaking time at conference allotted to ordinary members instead. Just 2 weeks ago, London radio station LBC asked if he'd be addressing conference, and he responded, "It doesn't look like it." But on Friday, Mr. Corbyn said Mr. Khan would be speaking in Brighton. "Sadiq is speaking. I'm delighted to say he is and I'm looking forward to listening to him," he told BBC London. Regular attendees of the Labour conference said this year's event was the largest they'd seen in years, reporting scores of delegates turned away from key fringe events. The uptick in attendance follows Mr. Corbyn's shock near win in the July election. Moderate Labour figures said delegates belonging to the internal hard-left activist group Momentum, which backs Jeremy Corbyn, outnumbered them by 800 compared to 360 moderates. Around a further 100 delegates are considered non-aligned and roughly 300 belong to the trade unions. Follow Latika Burke on Facebook.